Hi everybody, I'm Scott Munson, Superintendent in the Marshall Public School District. Welcome to the 2017-2018 school year. We're going to have during the year a series of Tiger Talk TV segments, and each month we'll typically have a guest or a couple guests on here to talk about a different subject, just as a way to help inform our parents and our community about some of the things taking place in the school district. So today I have the privilege of spending some time with our Director of Teaching and Learning, Amanda Grinauger, and she's agreed to answer some questions and share some information about assessments. And Amanda will also be presenting to the school board at the school board meeting and talking about a variety of different assessments. So Amanda, assessments, you and I talk about them probably every day or every week, but why would we take time to talk about them on this TV show? Why are they important?
Well, assessments have a variety of feedback that they can provide the district. They can help us make sure that our students are learning and growing each year as they are expected to, or hopefully above that expectation. It also helps us make sure that we are aligned, our curriculum is aligned to the state standards, and what's happening in our classrooms are what we need to be teaching our students so that they do well and they're prepared for that next grade level. So it really has to do a lot with our teaching and instruction, what happens in our classrooms.
Awesome. So you have a lot of stuff in front of you here. I don't know if the camera picks that up or not. It's kind of funny, actually.
I like to be prepared.
I know. So we're going to dive right in, and primarily our conversation is going to be about state assessments, sort of one part of it, and then the other part will be more about some internal type assessments that we use. So when we talk about state assessments, and a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago, the results came out, but when we talk about state assessments, what does that mean? What are they, and can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yep, the bulk of our discussion will be about our NCA state assessments, which are given in reading and math and science. The reading is given in grades 3 through 8, and then once in high school, grade 10. Our math is given in grades 3 through 8, and once in high school in grade 11. And then our science is given in 5, 8, and then once in high school whenever a student takes biology or a life science. So that's a lot. It's a lot of testing. Another state test that we have that we won't be talking about as much today is our access test, which is given for our English learner students, and that really has to do with language proficiency development. So our students who come to our country without speaking English, are they making progress? Are they getting to that level of proficiency? And research shows that it takes about 6 years on average for a student to become proficient once they've started learning English in the United States. And the focus for access is really reading, writing, listening, and speaking.
Okay.
So, but like I said, what we'll be talking about today mostly will be our NCA results.
MCA's Minnesota Comprehensive Assessments geared towards each grade level, like you said, grades 3 through 8 for reading, and then again in 10th grade, 3 through 8 in math, and again in 11th grade, and then 3 different assessments in science. Are they aligned, Amanda, to what the state standards are? I mean,
absolutely.
Talk about that a little bit. Why is that important? And again, maybe bring in why these results are important in terms of what you referenced earlier, which is our curriculum.
Right. So when we get our results back, what we're really looking for is how well are we doing as a district to prepare our students in this manner? Are they getting what they need in reading and math and science? And so your question was long and you had multi-parts to it. So
well, the main part was the MCAs are based on state standards.
Yes, correct.
And hence, why is that important from our curricular perspective?
So we want to make sure that we are teaching the state standards in our classrooms. Are they aligned? What's happening in our classrooms? Is it aligned to what the state is saying our students need to be college and career ready? So everything that we're doing for our reading preparation, our language arts classes are trying to prepare our students for a career or college. So you're going to hear that term a lot too. If you go to the MDE website, if you look at our standards, that is something that we're trying to do. So when we look at our data, again, we're going to take that back. we're going to look at it from a district level, we're going to look at it from a building level, we're going to look at it from a classroom level. So we have those layers. So when we get down to the grade level and the classroom level, then we're able to really see where do we do well? What are some things that we're doing well so that we can use some of those techniques maybe in areas where we're not doing well. So we want to take a look again at opportunities for improvement so that we can again make sure that we are doing everything that we can for our students to ensure that they are where they need to be college and career ready when they graduate.
Awesome. So we got our results back a while, officially.
Yep.
We got our results back here a week or so into August. We received preliminary results in the spring before school was out. We just couldn't release those publicly until everything was verified. So we had an inkling of what was going to happen with our results this year. But talk us through, from your perspective, the results from the 2016, 2017 MCAs and MTASs, our statewide assessments. And you don't have to go through everything.
No, but I just want to make sure I have our numbers
Absolutely.
right. But overall, MPS was 2.1 percentage points above the state average in reading. And that is a big increase from where we were last year. We made gains of over 6 percentage points from 2016 to 2017 as a district in reading.
And that's all grades, so that's third
Correct.
through eighth, and then
10th.
you're talking reading, so also 10th grade.
Yep.
Awesome. Yep.
Correct. And so in math, we were 1.6 percentage points above the state average, and again saw a little bit of growth from where we were last year to this year. So we're very happy with those results. We also had 5 of our 7 grades above state average in reading, and that was again another significant improvement from 2016. The cohorts saw gains from, so if you were a 4th grader this year, from where they were in 3rd grade as a grade, as a whole class. So when we say cohort, we're looking at a group of students. So we're not just looking at grade 3, how do they do year after year, because those are different students and may have different abilities, so we want to follow that cohort. Right. So our cohort data was also very promising and exciting and cause for celebration. So again, in all those areas in reading, we were very happy. And in addition to that, we also saw great gains in our all of our subgroups. So our EL population, our SPED population, all of our minority groups, so Asian, Black, and Hispanic, and even our white group increased. So that, again, was very exciting and reason to celebrate. In math, 3 of our 7 grades were above the state average, which is similar to last year, but again, we saw gains in each cohort, which was, again, very promising and exciting, and we hope to continue that trend for all of those. And in math, for our subgroups, we had 5 of our subgroups increase their scores from 16 to 17. So again, very, very exciting and good and fun news to share.
Absolutely. So you mentioned comparison with the state. Is that a good comparison for our school district to look at how we're doing against the state, and if so, why, and if not, why not?
Absolutely. It's really hard for Marshall to find a district that's similar to our size, that has the similar demographics that we have in regards to our EL, our SPED, our minority groups. So when we look at the state, and I would say we're even a little bit higher than the state in a couple of those areas, but it's probably one of the closer ways that we can compare is with the state. So
Absolutely. So similar demographics and a lot of things to celebrate. We've got our results back now. All right. What are we doing with them? What's happening? Yeah, they come out we get to talk about them, which is excellent, and the school board will get to talk about them at the meeting as well, and we'll share with staff and whatnot. But what's going on behind the scenes with all these?
Right, so when we get the results, that's really just the beginning. You and I have been working with our admin team, we've been working with our building principals and really trying to dive in at each building to see how we did. So, we've looked at it big picture for the board presentation and for our conversation here today. And so now it's time to take it to that next level and go down to our buildings. So again, we're meeting with our building administrators. After that, we'll also meet with our departments at the high school and middle school, which would be language arts, math, and science. And then at the K4, we look at it by grade level. And so we have those individual meetings, and we take a look again at what are we doing well, where do we need to improve, and then we really develop little action plans to help us say, okay, here's what we need to do. And a lot of that information also goes into the school continuous improvement plans, so that we are working on it as a building. So it's not just our language arts teachers that are going to have to work on that. It's not just our math teachers. So everyone has some ownership in those areas, math and reading.
Awesome. So from a student perspective, and I believe that these results this year are indicative of really good things that have happened with our staff, with our students, with our families, with community support. But from a student and/or parent perspective, why are these results important? And you're a parent as well, so
Absolutely. I believe both parents and students want to know how well the child is doing. Do they know what they need to know? Are they able to do the things that are expected at that grade level? And so that's what these test results show and tell a family about their child. But it also looks for growth. So maybe we're not quite up to meets, because the MCA uses does not meet, partially meets, and then exceeds. So if a student is at a partially meets, then a family can really take the information that they get from the individual student report and work on those areas where they're struggling to help, along with the school, maybe push them up to get to a meets for next test season.
So it's not the end of the world if a third or fifth grade student gets their report back now in the fall, and they look and they did not meet a particular grade level proficiency. Not the end of the world.
Absolutely not.
We're going to do a bunch of things to help them and encourage parents to get involved and things like that.
Every building has different interventions that they use and identifiers of what's going to get a student into those interventions, but our MCAs are definitely one of the things that they look at. Yeah.
Super. Any, before we sort of transition into talking about more internal assessments that we use, any final thoughts or comments on the state assessments, results, anything along those lines?
Again, just that I'm very happy that to have seen the growth that we're seeing, and that really goes to our families, our students, and our teachers, and all the work that they've put in to make that happen.
They absolutely have no doubt about that.
We are happy about that and appreciate all their work.
Okay, again, I'm visiting with Amanda Grinauger, Director of Teaching and Learning in our school district, and we just talked a little bit about state assessments. Now, Amanda, we get to talk about something that we use that hasn't been around maybe as long as state assessments, but we've definitely been using it for a long time, and that's NWEA and also other more internal assessments. What's the difference between a state assessment and say an NWEA, which stands for Northwest Evaluation Association, and then their test is actually called the MAP, or the Measures of Academic Progress? What's the difference between the two?
Well, I would say that our state test, and I didn't mention this earlier, but it's also used for accountability purposes, for state and federal accountability. But that is also something that's public, that is out, that everyone can see, and that's good, and parents use it to look at school districts to see how they're doing. I would say that our NWEA is really specifically used for internal purposes to identify, again, areas in our curriculum where we're weak, where we're strong, and we share that information with our classroom teachers, who then take that information and are able to use it in their classrooms. It really helps us identify students who maybe have some gaps as well. But the NWEA also has a feature where you can get curriculum through or things that need to be worked on, let's say skills and knowledge that you can work directly with the student at a certain RIT score to help them improve to the next one. So it really gives them a lot of resources that they are able to run a variety of reports that can be used for differentiating in their classroom, just to be able to help identify students who are below the norms being RIT, or there is a collation chart that NWA has put together that shows classroom teachers where if a student needs to be at in order to be proficient in the MCAs. So again, there's a lot of different things we can do with NWA data, and we have faster turnaround with it, and we can give it more often. We can actually give it fall, winter, and spring, which is what we've started to do. So I think that information is just something that's a little bit faster turnaround and things that we can use quickly the next day after you take a test.
And one of the big benefits that I see with NWEA, in addition to, like you said, the turnaround is very quick, but the fact that we can, as we'll be doing here in September, we can give those assessments to students in the fall. We can give essentially the same assessment, although it varies, I get that, in the winter and again in the spring, and we can sort of, we at the beginning of the year, we have a baseline. At the middle of the year, we're seeing if they're progressing or not, and then at the end of the year, again, we're seeing what type of progress they make. And I think we get that the state assessments, we get the results once a year. They're beneficial. They're to some extent high stakes. We know what we need to use them for, but NWEA is something that we've done internally. Let's go back to the student and parent perspective, and then maybe we'll come back to the results from last year for the NWEAs. Why are NWEAs that we, Marshall Public Schools, give to kids, why are they important to students and why are they important to parents?
I think for a lot of the same reasons I just mentioned why they're important to us. We're able to communicate those results to parents a much more timely manner. They get 3 assessment results versus 1. Yeah, and they also have a growth report that's very, I think, helpful for parents as well. They can look at fall to spring, we can look at spring to spring. And because it's something that we do internally, we have all that information from the first time they took the test until the current test they take, and we can print a report and they can see the growth over the course of the years that they've been in Marshall Public Schools too, which is a very nice feature for parents as well.
Absolutely. So that's more of a, like if you have an 8th grade student, we may have NWEA results all the way back to kindergarten okay.
And it's also a national test. So we are comparing our Marshall Public School students to students nationally. So it's another way to look at our student results. You know, Minnesota, our NCA results look at just Minnesota students that we're comparing them to. So it's kind of nice to have both.
Absolutely, different perspective, different cohort group, if you will. In general, how were the results with our NWEAs last year?
They were up as well, similar to our MCAs. Every grade level is now above the national normed RIT for their grade level. All of the grade levels met their growth targets. So it was good. We're very happy to see that. All of our charts are green for NWEA.
And earlier, Amanda, you talked briefly about cohorts of students, and let's just spend a little bit of time on that because that is something that we use in our discussions about NWEA and also about MCAs, excuse me. Just expand on that a little bit and help folks understand what that means and why it's important.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about when I first started of how we should be looking at the data. Should we be looking at it by grade level or by cohort? And the consensus has been, and our admin team has agreed, that we are going to look at the data by cohort, which means we are going to follow the student group. Instead of looking at a grade level that has different kids in it every year that may have different abilities, may have a grade that's maybe high in EL, we are looking at the cohort. So we can see as they progress through the system, is that cohort making improvement from the previous year? Do they have more students who are proficient? Do they have more students who are meeting their growth targets? So it's been very beneficial, and I think it is the right way to look at that.
And when you talk about that, Amanda, an example I think would be if there's a graduating class of 2024 or 25, I don't know, and one year they have maybe 70% of their students proficient in reading, it would be our hope that next year that would be 73, 74, correct, 75. Year after would continue to climb so that in a perfect world we'd get to 100% when we stop testing them or whatever.
And if we saw a decline, it'd be something that we wanted to take a look at. You know, why did they go backwards? Right. So you're right. If we're not looking at the cohort, we could miss something like that. Yeah.
And then one of the things that NWEA has is that maybe is a little bit unique to them, although I know there's other companies that have this now as well. they have this typical growth measurement for each student, really. Tell the folks about that, if you would.
They've done huge data analysis research on how much is typical for a student at a certain age level, even from fall to spring in grade 5, or spring to spring or fall to spring, and how much is a typical growth for that particular group. And so that's what we're able to compare it to. Are we meeting at or above that, what's been researched and shown to be the average of what students are able to do.
And the nice thing about that is and we know you're smarter than me, but if you score higher on a math test and your RIT score is, let's say, a 220 at the beginning of the year, and mine is only a 200, you might actually, your typical growth or anticipated growth might be less than
Correct.
what mine would be through the year. So it's really zeroing in on each
very personal
individual student, and I know we've spent a lot of time with that.
Absolutely.
So MCA results positive, NWEA results positive. Last year, again, we love to tell those stories and talk about that. And we know that every year is different and so on and so forth. But there's a part of me that really wants to believe this is a direction we're going to continue in. Why might that be the case? What, from your perspective, what might we be able to attribute positive test results to?
Oh man, I feel like we've been working hard for a couple of years now to build a couple different areas. Our PLCs are professional learning communities where our teachers get together on a weekly basis and they discuss common assessments. Well, they develop common assessments, they give those common assessments, they bring the results back as a team and they take a look at those results and they discuss for those teachers who had high scores what went well, and share those instructional strategies with all teachers. And so I really feel like our PLCs, we've really been working hard on that. I think our push for standards-based learning and teaching has been also very influential in this area. I feel like our teachers really know the standards. They communicate those standards well to their students, and they're really starting to understand the rigor of the standard. I mean, I think that's an area that we'll continue to improve on, but just really getting to the meat of what the standards are expecting students to know, making sure that we do have our rigorous expectations that meet the requirements.
So a lot of alignment, and as we've hopefully done a good job of emphasizing, just great kids, great families, great staff doing great things, and really trying to work hard on that. Anything before we sort of wrap up here? We're running out of time. Alex has given us the nod. So anything that you want to share, helpful information to students, to parents, to the community before we sort of bring this to a close? Just
that all this information is on MDE's website, and you can find it either by just going to MDE's website and typing in MCA testing, or the address is rc.education, so that's for report card, rc.education.state.mn.us. So if people want to go take a look and find out more information about Marshall Public Schools or any other school in the area. A
lot of really good information on there. I think they've expanded the report card site. It includes not just the test results that we talked about, the state ones. There's information on graduation rates, career and college readiness, demographics, information about our teachers. They've really expanded that website and done a nice job with that. I think in closing here, what I'll try to speak for Amanda a little bit, these tests, the state assessments and the NWEAs, are important to us. We do a lot of different things with them. We feel like our students take them seriously for the most part, which is good. We hope our parents are informed about them and will help their child or children get ready on days when we're going to be preparing to take one of these tests. We do so much with the information and data. Staff looks at it, administrators look at it. We have teams that work on it. We have goals at each site that are developed based on a lot of this data. Amanda mentioned the professional learning communities, which meet every Wednesday during our early dismissals. Again, a huge thank you to our community for allowing us to let kids go so we can meet with staff and have those PLC discussions that lead to better teaching and learning and better test results. I think that's really important that we say thank you to our community for that. And then again, and a great way to end it, I think, is just to say thanks to our kids and to our families and to our staff, because we know that they've been working hard, taking this seriously, and doing the best that they and we all can on these assessments. So thank you to everybody for that. If you have any questions about the start of school, it's right around the corner, September 5th, 6th, or 7th, depending on your building. We have some preparation things going on the 5th and 6th in different buildings and assessment days and whatnot. But if you have any questions on the start of the school year, please reach out to the office of the building that your child or children attend school in. Call the district office at 537-6924. Check out our new website. Tricia Stelter, our administrative assistant, has done a lot of work redesigning our website and making it a little bit more helpful and compliant. That's really good stuff to check out. We're on Twitter now. I think our Twitter is at MPS Tigers, all lowercase, so we're trying to use social media a little bit more. We're implementing a new strategic plan this year that's going to be really exciting. We welcome 22 new teachers this week into our district, so a lot of really exciting things going on, and really glad to be a part of it. Amanda, thanks for being here today and answering questions and sharing information. Have a good day. Thank you.